Spoilers, guys. We're Trekyards. Welcome back, guys. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Coggins, and we are now back in review season. We took a mandatory break because they couldn't make it quick enough, and now we're back. The start of this long road, Stuart.
Lower Decks is back. Season 2, Episode 1 aired yesterday, and I gotta say, they haven't missed a beat. They're still doing what they were doing in Season 1, and I'm super happy about it. So
This is our full spoiler-filled review, guys, so click away if you don't want full spoilers. And, of course, join our live tonight, which is at 10 PM GMT, the same as always, and that is important. It's our full scene-by-scene breakdown, where this will be bits and bobs, thoughts, and all over the place. That is a scene-by-scene. We'll break down all the smallest things, and especially the smallest visuals. And, of course, throughout the week, you're going to see videos of us looking at the Switch's refit, for example, canon references, character things, lots of little bits and bobs, as you normally expect from Trekyards, and tune in every day in this next coming week until you come back around to the review video, which will be this next week as well. So, Stuart, I'll start the review, so give me your detailed review thoughts of this first episode.
it was fantastic. Like I said, they didn't miss a beat. We were worried about, after Season 1, them keeping the momentum into Season 2. We weren't really worried. We kind of figured it would be the same. But, sometimes there's a little bit of a dip. This was spot on, just continuing what was being presented in Season 1. So I was really happy. I really enjoyed it. A lot of little references, as usual, and a lot of respect for canon, which I really appreciate. So overall, I thought it was a fantastic episode. That being said, with the two plot lines, it didn't feel like a very long episode for some reason. It felt lacking a little bit. It was very simplistic stories, which is good for animated, I guess. But for some reason, it felt a little bit lacking as far as, like, it was done, and I'm like, it's over already? Like, I don't know if it was just the anticipation of waiting for it for so long, but that's kind of the vibe that I got, so... How about you?
I thought it was fine. I was kind of middle of the road. The thing about a show, when you reach such a high bar, you're now comparing every episode to their episodes previously, and this is not their best, not their worst, somewhere in the middle. It was fine. It was decent. I would be shocked if they make a bad episode. That would be with massive miscalculation. But I thought it was more of a good epilogue to last season, in that they had all these threads carried over, and this episode was really truly developed to the Mariner mum storyline, which I thought was really good. I thought that was handled very well. It was given almost all of the screen time, like the real screen, like the proper meaty screen time, and so it was fleshed out and developed. But then the Tendi and Rutherford story, I could completely cut out and not lose anything. It was undeveloped to all hell. And then a super powerful god being is a great concept, but when you know straight away it's going to be resolved within 15 minutes, it doesn't have that same power and pace and energy that it should do, and so that I wasn't really engaged by. It was fine, but it didn't hit, like, they didn't commit to the bit. It was just a silly bit to help the Mariner mum storyline work, which is why that bit worked well, which is why I think is an epilogue to last season rather than a standalone on its own. And next week we're going to see more of a come in, and of course disappointed we got no balance between Titan and Cerritos. It was just one side, and then and I'll end my little rant there on, it's one of those things where it's sad when Mike McMahon says, oh, Riker's in at least 3, and then in one of his episodes he has 2 lines. Well, that was one of his 3 then. That's disappointing. So you know what I mean? The balance I thought was a bit off.
That's interesting. That's interesting, actually. He said at least 3, though, so maybe there's more. Maybe he's just.
But that's one of them.
I know.
So yeah.
And it almost didn't feel like Riker.
Nope.
Honestly, Riker is one of those officers that when he's getting shot at, he's very serious. If you watch any TNG episode where he's in command and his crew is in danger, he's very on point. The whole, this battle has too many licks and not enough comp, felt a little out of place during being attacked like that. But it's the animated version of Riker. I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of wish he was a little bit more Riker-esque. I understand in the last season when he was in the bar, kind of off duty, here's my little chudich and all that. That kind of made it felt like Riker something what he would do. But honestly, on the bridge, it's a little bit, especially under full attack, it just seems odd to me.
I mean, so. I'm assuming, and I'm really reaching for a thing here, that I'm assuming that he didn't believe the Pack-led fighters. The entire concept is ridiculous. That's why it's fun. I'm assuming he thought they were no threat despite being at 30% shields. And of course, there's stupidity of calling for red alert after shields have already been up and down to 30%, which makes the shields up because shields turn on automatically when you hit red alert. So the shields were already up, which meant red alert was pointless. So that whole last bit was made fully for comedy rather than any sort of serious Trekness, and I thought wasted Jonathan Frakes. But I mean, it's comedy Frakes, it's not real Frakes. So I didn't, Boydman was fun, but he was also yelling. So it was.
Did you catch the last thing Riker said as they were stretching
Which
out?
I liked, but
I love my job. Yeah.
Yeah, he would say that, but not in that context, I think. Yeah, I'm assuming next week is going to be the opposite, like 45%, 50% Titan, and then... Otherwise, we are just getting Titan as a reference, and they really didn't want to commit to actually having a real part for that. Because we kind of assumed to be a real participant. But I think, it was just a hint to the Pack-led stuff, which is fine, as long as there's some greater storyline, which we may get. And like I said, this is really the epilogue to last season's episode. It wasn't really, And in fairness, season 1 started with a absurd zombie apocalypse, which was so big and yet so small. This one has a god being apocalypse, and then stopped very easily. So it mirrors last season, but I thought that was a much better episode than this episode. Much better.
And it was even Ransom that started that because he got bit by the bug in the first episode. So, all right. So that's the Titan stuff out of the way. The other two storylines, there's the Tendi and Rutherford.
It felt very much like a season 1 plot, and I thought they were going to give a bit more character development to them. I liked seeing her with her shotgun. That was fun. This episode felt more cartoony than last season. Like they took the silliness one step further and pushed away from, it's like she introduced herself to the person the person he's on a date with, but there's only like 300 people on the ship, and you've probably met them before, and it's been over a year, and just like there's just some odd choices for comedic effect that weren't really funny even for me. So it's kind of just comedy over drama.
Well, and I got to point this out too, another reference to Cetacean Ops. And they did that in this first season, in the first episode as well, with a reference to Cetacean Ops. I don't think we're ever going to get to see it. I think it's going to be a tease all the time because Mike knows that people want to see it. I personally wanted to see the swimsuit and have Rutherford actually be able to go swimming and swim with some dolphins. That would be kind of fun, actually. But other than that, I mean, Tendi felt like, she got a little psycho in season 1 when she wanted the one guy to be attracted to her. So she's not out of character at all. And she's obviously got a thing for Rutherford. She's jealous because at the end she was like, no, seriously, stop seeing her, because they were on their third date since he got his implant back. Are they going to have a relationship? I don't know.
I think it's on that line of I more took it as I don't think she's right for you at all. I'm your friend. I know better. So I honestly don't necessarily. I think they're so underdeveloping that they just could go either which way or not, which is fine. I have no will they won't they in my heart for them. I'll be honest.
No, I don't either. But I think that I think they might be going towards that. Just kind of with one or two of the things that happened in this episode, but I could be way off base with that. That being said, it's good to see Rutherford back. I hate that he forgets a lot of things. I mean, it makes sense. He even heads the wrong direction went the wrong direction again. So we're going to have a lot of that kind of comedy this season of him forgetting probably basic stuff. And I don't know how I feel about that necessarily. The implant's the same, though. It looks like it has a Vulcan ear still, which I wish they would have fixed that and done maybe an Andorian antenna, an Andorian cybernetic one would have been neat. But yeah, I mean, Rutherford is okie dokie.
Yeah, I was surprised how they sort of skipped past it. I know this has been months later, which is why it feels a bit more status quo, which is good in a sense. But they're both using the idea of him losing his memory and also ignoring it, not using it as well. So I was like, okay. I mean, that I honestly could have seen it cut. I'd rather have. Yeah, I think honestly they could have played a bigger part in the other plot lines. We want all 4 characters together. It would have been cool to see how they both helped the God thing.
Well, yeah, it's a great transition because when they wrap up the Tendi thing, you see him Ransom outside the ship, like chewing on the nacelles and
That
stuff
was
in the
good. That I
background,
liked.
out the window. So that's a good segue into the into the Ransom stuff. Gotta like the godlike powers thing in Star Trek, and I love it. It's just called strange energy, and they even refer to it as strange energies in the show like twice. You've been infected by strange energy. What does that do? Gary Mitchell. And you notice that Gary Mitchell was a stylized, like comic version almost, and not the animated series style.
It was close enough though. It was stylistic because it wasn't their style and it wasn't animated style. It was a different style.
True, but I figured they just went with an animated series, but he never appeared in that, so that's a good choice. But nice reference. We got Gary Mitchell references in season 1 as well. And Mike McMahon's been on Twitter saying, yeah, it's mandated we have to have at least 10 Gary Mitchell references per season or something.
That's a lot. And that was nice.
Yeah.
I did... Obviously, you think the joke is going to be strange energy or whatever is just, it's unknown, but to link it directly with the thing that you understand as being the most unexplained strange energy in Trek that made a god being, that's great. It's very simple. Although it does sort of devalue that a little bit in the first pilot because that was the edge of the galaxy energy, whereas this is random solar light hitting a random ball going into lightning. It's like, oh, it's also that easy as well, because it's explicitly the same thing doing the same thing explicitly. So it makes I guess that planet harness the power of the edge of the galaxy. It's like, okay,
It's just strange energy. I mean, there's different ways for people to become godlike in Trek. It happens all the time.
It just wishy-washes it down from epic to, okay, you can recreate it relatively easily. No, it's really not a huge thing. It's just the scale of it went massively down, even though his powers went massively up. Which I appreciated the linkingness of the god being both he's just ahead like Star Trek 5. There's a reference. He's holding the ship like Apollo and the Great Hand in the TOS, and also he's attacking it like the ship in Arsenal, kind of the space battle effect. So it's very visually reminiscent of everything, and yet never been seen before. So I did like that.
It's actually one of the most terrifying godlike beings we've seen, because when he like goes all like, it's quite terrifying at times. You actually see his skull at times, and him chewing on the shields. I thought was hilarious.
Hey, good for the shields to be powerful enough to defend against a god. I was not expecting that. It was like they were doing okay.
I didn't know they were so malleable. Like they actually like.
Well, we got mouth the size of that. Yeah. So I liked it, but I thought it wasn't really developed, and it was again the butt of a joke. I liked at least it was brought around to him being jealous of Mariner, but that just made it a subplot of a main plot rather than its own plot. Like he won't be developed from this at all. You know what I mean? That's why I say it's really just about the Mariner plot. Everything else is just to feed into that, give or take.
And still maintaining his Ransom qualities, like lifting the trees like this. He's working out his biceps and triceps. And is that gym equipment? Yeah, he's making his ideal world. Gotta say that what he did with his powers, he made a moon blink out of existence. He created a Mount Everest with just his face on it. He twisted their museum of music into like a useless thing. So yeah, I mean,
I just wish there was a stronger payoff, because I thought the setup was quite good, but just hitting him in the balls and then putting a ball on him, like it's fine, but it's not very clever. Like it's fine, but it's not a very strong ending. But how do you defeat a god being? Go with a stupid idea. So it's fine. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of fine ideas that aren't like.
Yeah. I feel they missed out on a trick though. I mean, he should have created a tombstone with Mariner's name on it and had the wrong initials, like Mariner something, like whatever middle initial. And she's like, "That's not my middle initial." That would have been on point, I think, and I would have really appreciated that. However, we didn't get. But that's implying he wants to kill her. So
yeah, there was very little. But I did like the mum storyline stuff. It's odd they jumped so much of the timeline to we've missed all of the interesting stuff. Now we're gonna cut to the back to status quo stuff. Bit odd that they did all that.
And is it just me? Am I mistaken? Do we think that her and the Admiral were divorced in season 1 for some reason? Because in this one he calls her Share Bear and Sweetheart. I thought we talked about it in season 1 that it feels like they were divorced for some reason. But anyway.
Well, yeah, the only reason we thought that is because they weren't physically together and we only saw them once. So it was more of a, what is a working relationship when working when you're this sort of role. So obviously not just you do your own thing, etc. So which is
I felt
nice.
even, yeah, he even said, with the things you've been doing, you might be up for promotion this year to a real capital ship, which I thought was a great reference as well. So,
And that's less a reference, more of a logical thing they'd say, because Sirius isn't a great ship, and they even say that a few times in the episode. And I thought, and that was a nice,
but even just to say capital ship was nice to hear. Like you never hear that in Trek.
exactly what you'd say, because
Yeah.
you're not a capital ship, Cerritos, you're not a capital ship. And I'm guessing that's going to be our arc for this season, which I kind of appreciate. We had that arc of season 1 with the captain mum of being, well, hey, this is the secret, and now that's obviously completely gone. Now we've got need to keep everything in check to try and get a better ship, etc. So that was good. I like that. I thought Mariner was fun. Obviously, then we can jump into the first scene, which was very much let's go in. Let's have a lightsaber fight in the forest with all the Jedi we've ever known, and add spaceships in orbit, and add portals, and add AT-ATs, and let's just throw everything in, because we want people to be like, yes. But then the Arch appears, and fucking Jen, she's always around.
And I love the jab at Roddenberry there. I know we're not supposed to have interpersonal, problems, but I really can't stand that Andorian. I think that's hilarious because that's one of the things that Gene Roddenberry was adamant about, that there should be no personal conflict between the crew at all because humans have evolved.
But also fits
that just doesn't work.
But it fits into in a dialogue as well, because in theory, why would you want personal conflicts with your own crew? They're meant to be your friends, your colleagues. So what do you think of the fan appreciation first 3 minutes?
You know me, I absolutely love that. That was probably the best looking Miranda we've seen ever. Even the bridge was spot on. We just did our top 10 bridge episodes right before that one, and so seeing that, I was like, yes, that's awesome. Because you know me, that's my favorite aesthetic, that movie era kind of look. So yeah, on point, 100%.
And in theory, if you take it as 100% canon within canon, is that this ship has phasable turrets firing modern phasers, not the original. Because I was wondering if it was going to fire like Star Trek 2 phasers, and it had the new grills and facades, and yet it has the Star Trek 2 bridge and LCARs. So this could be now canon that modern refit Miranda still didn't update their bridge dome, bridge interiors to be, So hey, possible canon there. But no, that as soon as she beamed aboard, because they could have invented any bridge to actually do the correct bridge. That's the level of detail that when fans say, "Oh, it's just a cartoon," they won't. Who cares about the details? Like, do you realize how much little detail they had to build for this interior set to make it match? The answer was all of it. I mean, it's shocking and not shocking, and really, really nice touch.
Interesting name for the ship, though, the USS Macduff. I was like, okay, but anyway. But yeah, I really do appreciate all of that. Even the Cardassian stuff was great. I got a few chuckles out of that. They keep showing me lights. Started off with a bang, and I really appreciate that. And I think that's what they like to do with this show. And again, they haven't missed a beat since season 1. I'm sure they went straight into season 2 when they finished season 1. So that's a concern that we were a little bit had, and it's kind of so far waylaid.
And obviously, the first scene is all of the sort of, again, I don't like the word, but fan service, because it's been sort of co-opted by other people. But it was that. But when it swaps to be a holodeck sequence, that gives you all the permission to do whatever the hell you want, because it's her personal, her having fun, so she can throw in everything in the kitchen sink. And that's like why you're wondering why it's so easy, why Cassian's actually phasing her. Or it's a great kind of jail-free card, and it's also a great character building moment that she obviously relies on a holodeck to live out these power fantasies where she's really an ensign on a go GNDN ship, and yet here she's doing epic prison break stuff. So it's a like I said, the Mariner Mum stuff was all on point because they got all the time. The balance was not quite there.
And let's keep in mind, guys, we were aware of the ships that were shown there. We're going to talk about that in a separate episode. But yes, a lot of good fan service as far as ships go. A lot of canon
Even stuff
ships.
doesn't necessarily make as much sense, and that's good in this context. It's interesting.
Yeah, and even a side canon-ish ship. So we're going to have fun talking about that. So
you know us, guys. We have stuff coming for all these different things. Tune in throughout the week for our graphs, our comparisons, our detailed looks, our A-enhance, etc., etc.
So that being said, I think this is the end of this review. By all means, put your comments down below what you thought about the episode, and are you looking forward to the next one? Be sure to let us know. Also, let us know that you enjoyed listening to us talk about it by hitting that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell icon to all, and of course consider joining the channel, as that really helps us out, and you won't miss any of our lives where we talk about this kind of stuff interactively with you. So
And when we will take a single frame, like, more details, look. And that's great. So we deliberately skipped so much. This is the simple fun review, which you know what we think. So do tune in for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll see you then too, Stuart, because I'm excited. So let's stop this recording so we can go do that in a few hours.
And if you're watching this, they release it. It's tonight at 5 Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. GMT.
Tomorrow, go back and watch it. It's already come out.
Check it out, guys. Anyway, until then, I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm Connor Coggins. We'll see you then. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.